Live from the podcast studio, this is from Long Distance Marriage with Rich and Andrea. We're a once long-distance couple who closed 5,000 miles of distance and are now happily married.
We talk long distance, marriage and relationships.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 24 from Long Distance to Marriage. This week, we have some exciting news. We're going to have to change our intro because we are no longer in our living room. We are sitting on the floor of our newly refurbished study/podcast recording studio. We need a sofa, but that will be coming hopefully next week. And it's pretty nice, isn't it?
It's not bad.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's pretty sunny.
Yeah, it's very sunny, and the carpet's pretty plush and comfy and smells new. Anyway, so this week we are talking about catfishing. It's something we've touched on, I think, in previous episodes, something to be wary of, and it's come up obviously, but I think we wanted to talk about it a little bit more in more detail, really. So kind of first off, disclaimer, we are lucky enough that we were doing the online dating long distance thing before catfishing was really a thing in the way it is now. I mean, it did exist. It wasn't called catfishing.
I think it existed. I think we predated it being common knowledge. And I think what was the bigger talking point around that time was predators with kids, being like children being careful around who they're talking to on the forums. That was rather than, because I suppose what we really predate is commonplace long distance relationships. So there wasn't big warnings about if in a long distance relationship over the internet, because that I don't think was as big a thing as it is now. Yeah,
I agree, and you're dead on what you were saying with the whole predator and children being careful. I mean, do you remember chainmail that would go around?
Yeah.
I remember my mom, and it went around a lot.
So chainmail being when you got emails say forward this, otherwise someone.
Well, not necessarily that, but it was just like, well, yeah, that was a big part of it. Like, oh, you'll have bad luck for 6 years or whatever.
Or you'll wake up in the night and there'll be a girl. And then you'll die.
It was always there was consequences if you didn't send it on, but. Yeah. The chainmail was just that there were all these like stories or kind of...
Well, chainmail was viral before it was called viral.
Yeah, it was. But I don't even know, what were they, stories, anecdotes, there were jokes, like it was just all kinds of stuff, and you just send it to everyone you knew. It's very strange. I guess now you don't have to do that because you can just post it on Facebook and everyone you know sees it. It was non-stop, and my mom was a real victim to it. Not because she thought she'd have bad luck. She doesn't do it anymore, really, but she shares it all on Facebook now. You see a funny video, you see a funny story... You don't email it to everyone, you just share it on your Facebook page.
What's that got to do with catfishing?
Anyway, sorry. My mom got this email, and it was going around a lot, kind of the late 90s, early 2000s, and really chat rooms were the only way to meet different people at that time.
Well, and chat rooms were kind of like the way, what Facebook's done, where you join groups and you talk to people with that specific interest. Mm-hmm. So people listening to this may well be in long distance Facebook groups. Message boards did that. I mean, they still do. If I think where Patreons come around, it allows that. But what they did was I was on music ones, and then we obviously joined DeviantArt, which was more. It was broader, but it was still under the umbrella category of art. So I think predators were sort of able to hone in on that. Like, where are children going to be?
So there was this story about how this little girl, probably like 11 or 12, was talking to this in a chat room, started talking to this person and doing like instant messaging outside the chat room with them, and he wasn't threatening in any way, just asked her questions about her life and stuff, and she thought she was talking to a kid her age, and he found out what school, or he found out that she played like softball or a sport certain days a week and the name of her team, and just based on that, she went into her game one day. And as she was leaving, there was a man on the sidewalk and called her name. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm a police officer, and I just want to let you know that I was able to find you based on this information, and you should be aware of that. Why a police officer would be doing that, I don't know. So we'll have to Snopes if that was ever a... Is it Snopes?
But it is... it raises an interesting point, because the information that people share on social media and Facebook... I think people are more inclined to not post everything publicly, although a lot of people do. What people don't know a lot of the time is that when you upload a picture, it's possible to see the data for that. You can see where it was taken, that kind of information. So you can see if someone's on holiday, if someone's at home. You can get pretty accurate location tracking.
Yeah.
And then you've got other social networks, so like Instagram and Twitter in particular, people are less likely to have on private because the nature of them is talking to more people.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of people say, you can see when people are on holiday. If you can post where you live thinking nothing of it, and then they know you're on holiday, they can sort of see your circle of friends. Like, there's a lot to be careful of.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose linking this back to catfishing, one, it allows people to see a lot about you, and if someone's out there to deceive you, the more information they've got about you that's true, that's going to make you feel like they know me in a good way, they're good people.
Yeah.
And it also allows them to say, oh, I know your friend so-and-so, because they know who they are through your social media without actually knowing who they are in real life. So I think the lessons go beyond just the immediately obvious.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between when we were talking and getting to know each other and now, so bearing in mind, so we're going back to 2004, early 2004, when we would have been first talking, so 15 years almost. So yeah, about 15 years now. And the difference is that even though the internet was a big part of our lives in the early 2000s, it was limited compared to how it is now. And it was a part of life, but now people's lives are online. And I think that's how this catfishing starts. You have people who get to know each other in a variety of different ways. They might meet on Facebook. It could be forums or different platforms and things like that. But the amount of time and effort that goes into creating a fake persona or copying, stealing photos from someone to create this, alternative personality to who you are, isn't something that people would have put the time in, unless, I guess, maybe if you were a real kind of creeper back then. But now the people that do this, like...
Well, there weren't as many profiles.
Yeah.
If you go way back, it was like, just to set the scene for people, it's not like now where you have phones and tablets. Tablets didn't exist. Phones existed, but they were phones. We had one family computer, and it was in a study, and you had to take turns to use it, and you had to schedule it. And then there would be... Then I think my sister and I each got a computer, but this was like a hand-me-down, and it was massive, and, it wasn't like it is now. Then when you got social media, it was MySpace and Bebo. They were just... The way you use those websites was different to how Facebook is and Instagram is and Twitter is.
I want to tell you a really funny story. You just reminded me of having like a one-family computer. We did have...
Did you find your dad watching porn?
No, God, no, don't say that. He would never do such a thing, and that would not be funny. That would be horrifying. But the family computer was in my room when I was probably 10, 11. And my dad never really used it, but my mom would use it. And one morning, I was asleep, and I hear her shouting her brother's name. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, we're supposed to be able to do a voice chat over this. And she's just sitting there leaning into the...
Just talking to the computer?
Yeah, not the monitor. So we never had the standing tower. We had the flat ones that the computer sat on top of. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Or sorry, the monitor sat on top of?
Yeah, we had those.
But we didn't have a microphone.
Oh.
But I knew that. I was
Yeah.
like, she said, well, that says mic. I'm like, I think that means a speaker type thing. That's not what it is. And she's just in there shouting at the computer. I was like, we don't have all the tools. Sorry, but that's just how archaic it is. But yeah, I think there's a lot more opportunity to do it. And, like that show Catfish, obviously I'm sure it's dramatized, for enjoyment factors and stuff. But most of the people that are catfishing someone, they're not mean, evil people with malicious intent.
The people that we see on the TV show.
Yeah, there was one guy
in
that was
real
crazy.
life. There are going to be people doing it for a number of reasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And this is a limited version, but
I think no one wants to be catfished, obviously. And I think what really shocked me about that show was the ones where you have the episodes like, oh, we've been doing this for 10 years.
What, they've been talking together for 10 years or something?
You just think, my God, that's commitment to being an absolute bastard.
My favourite was the one where the guy thought he was talking to Katy Perry for 3 or 4 years, or 7 years.
Yeah, there is a level here of take a step back and are you being deluded? Because you're not talking to Katy Perry. But I think you said we predated it. I think if we didn't, like if catfishing was, if we were first talking now, it would be on both of our minds. 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's got to be a whole new challenge to long distance internet dating from what we had, because like you said, that is such a bigger concern.
And the problem is, whenever you're in this relationship, and a lot of the times, much earlier than you have the right to, people start to feel like, oh, I know them and they're great because they make you feel a certain way, and that clouds your judgment. You think, no, you want the idea of them, or you want how they make you feel, without really paying attention to, hang on, are they who they say they are?
Yeah.
Is this good? This is how people end up in relationships that aren't good for them, or end up being catfished. So just think, before I get sucked into this rabbit hole of thinking this person's amazing, there are, I think, some simple steps you can take to maybe not 100% remove the risk of being catfished, because even if their face matches their pictures and all that kind of stuff, you shouldn't know 100% that they are who they say they are. But before that step, it's things like put their picture into Google and see what comes up. Yeah. Does their Facebook profile?
We learned about that from the Catfish show.
And I think what made us comfortable, this wasn't on our mind, but looking back, it no doubt made us comfortable, was having a webcam doing video calls, because you could see, okay, yep, the person I'm looking at and talking to is the same person whose picture is on.
What also made me feel better is
and linking back to last week, though, sending nudes, then you can see their whole body is exactly the same.
I think he was joking. I think that something that really helped me was that you had a lot of friends around, and you had friends online and stuff. So like, you had your friend Rich.
Yeah.
And like his girlfriend, like you guys would talk a lot, and then like we would go into group chats, and then I would talk to them separately. So it was like, I made friendships with people in your life that,
Yeah, I wasn't the only person you knew from here.
And like, I think you knew a couple of my friends, or at least you saw some on webcam. I don't think you probably chatted to them.
And it meant we were able to verify that. Well, it's like we've said before, we included each other in each other's lives
as much as we could, with the distance.
So yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff helps. What you don't want is just like, I know this person and I'm convinced everything's fine and they are who they say they are, and you don't know anyone in their life, they don't know anyone in your life, you're completely... Because as much as you want to believe that everything's true, the fact of the matter is they are still a stranger. Yeah. For a long time, they're a stranger.
And I think, if someone's going into this, maybe you've started talking to someone, or maybe you've been talking to them for a while and you're starting to have some doubts. I mean, in a few previous episodes, particularly preparing to meet for the first time and telling your parents about your long-distance relationship, we covered on kind of some safety things that tie into this really well. And I think in both of those, we did mention catfishing a bit. So obviously, talk to the person on FaceTime or even a voice call or whatever. You need to know this person beyond text messages or emails or, Skype, however typing messages. You need to associate that. I mean, not to say that will prove anything, but it's just the first step. I mean, again, there's an episode of Catfish where this kind of preppy, sweet young girl thought she was talking to, a jock, kind of sporty guy, and it was a girl faking the voice. And they talked on the phone a lot.
That happened a surprising amount. It was different genders. One of them, they ended up having a gay relationship, I think. But they were talking as man and woman. And it turned out they were both men, I think.
I don't remember that one.
So I think it just really goes to show that there's any number of situations that can really play out.
Yeah.
Like any, deception's not in one way. It's not them saying that they're Tony and actually they're Paul. It's they could be 30 years older than they say they are. They could not live in the country they say they do. They may or may not have bad intent in terms of wanting to steal all your money or murder you. They may just be getting kicks out of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it.
But
or even just, you see a lot of people who are hiding something. Maybe they're not comfortable with the way they look. I mean, you see that a lot. People who aren't happy with how they look and they use
yeah, I mean, I think if we can be blunt about it, when you do see the show, it's fair to say a lot of these people aren't swimming in the deep end of the gene pool. Like,
oh my God.
They've what?
That's awful.
They've drawn the short straw, and when we spoke about the concerns parents have, we've made the point that a lot of parents would think, why can't they get a relationship where they live?
Yeah.
These are the kind of people that make them think that they can't get a relationship where they live because they're butt ugly and there's something wrong with them and they're not all there.
Are you saying that's the parents' concern, or you're saying that's the issue?
I'm saying that's the issue with these people who are catfishing a lot of the time.
Do you remember that
they're making this character persona because they're not happy in their own skin. They're probably not likely to find a partner in the local vicinity, so they're going online, they're making this new person up, and they said, I'm so-and-so, here's a beautiful picture that I've stolen from a model's Facebook page. I mean, this is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So then you imagine parents are seeing this, they're thinking, why are you talking to someone 3,000 miles away? What's wrong with them? And if you watch that show, that's what's wrong with them. They're not the people you would want for your children.
But that comes from it's not because they're unattractive, it's because they're unhappy. Some people, don't have the ideal... I mean, I certainly don't have the ideal body weight and shape at the moment. There are people who, maybe aren't the traditional definition of beauty, but they're happy with who they are. And, so it's an inner thing.
Excuses it. I'm saying I think it's a reason.
I don't want people to think that you're generalizing that ugly people do this or something like that. It's nothing to do with their looks. It's how they feel about how they look.
They're not all looking like that. Some of them are just mental.
Yeah, but I think, like we said, so firstly, obviously, if you're getting interested in someone, make sure they'll talk to you and FaceTime with you. Watch out for any strange patterns or strange excuses that keep coming up. Oh, my phone's broken. Oh, this or that, whatever. But I think realistically it comes back to protecting yourself and doing your due diligence. What I mean by that is anytime you make a big decision in your life and choosing to care about someone that you've never met, when essentially, like you said, Rich, they're a stranger, that's a big decision. So just like when you would purchase an expensive car, you're going to check its history. You're going to look under the hood or bonnet. You're going to make sure it's safe. When you buy a house, you're going to, have it inspected and make sure it's a sound investment. You should be doing that with people.
But especially long distance, because implicit in long distance is the feeling that someone's going to move. Someone's going to uproot their life and move, and you're not going to do that for anyone. You're not going to do that to find out that it's all been a lie.
No.
And I think, put whoever you're with out of your mind for a minute. Remove them from the equation. Just think, what one thing would it take for you to feel more convinced that someone's who they say they are?
Yeah.
Like, I know that what's quite common online now, where you sell something, for instance.
Well, like Facebook pages and...
Yeah, so they'll say, take a picture of the item, and in that picture have your name and today's dates written on a bit of paper in that picture. So you can see you've not stolen it from someone, you've done that picture now to do that. So do you say... So, we know that some people take pictures from someone else's Facebook page and they make their own page and say, this is me. They couldn't do that if you said to them, I want you to write your name and a message to me with my name in it and today's date and hold that up. The only way that person could do that is if they did it.
Or if they printed the photo off the internet.
No, because they'd have to hold it up.
Oh, next to them. Okay, I see what you mean.
Like, hold it up against your face that says, hi Emily, I'm doing this picture so you know who I am.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Sorry, you explained that a bit confusingly, but that makes sense.
Basically, the principle of it is you're making them send you a picture with information on it
that proves that they're them,
and their faces in it, so you know that.
Yeah.
And so going back to what you said before, if they're saying, "Oh, my phone's broken," this and that, life does happen.
Yeah.
But think, is this happening every time?
That's
How long's
why...
it going on for? Is it? Oh, well, my phone broke this week and then I've had to rush off somewhere else and I can't talk.
That's what I meant.
Oh, my internet's gone down now. And
obviously things happen.
Yeah.
Like, I remember you had a period, I mean, it was a bit different because we'd already talked and stuff like that, but there was a period where, do you remember your old brick phone? there was a period where like something happened, you got it fixed, and then your dog tripped on the cord and ripped out the charging socket.
Yeah,
and then something else. And there was like, obviously, I think we'd actually met at that point. If not, we'd done voice chat, video chat. You know, we'd known each other for a very long time, so I didn't have a reason to doubt what he was saying. But like you said, life does happen. So be understanding.
It happens in threes. But if it's and also when happening, if it's can we arrange a phone call, and they say actually, I can't do it for a few weeks because such and such. If they say, oh yeah, great, and then 2 minutes before the phone goes, oh actually, this is just
you did that to me a lot though when you went to uni.
Well, uni I didn't have internet.
No, but phone calls, like I'd be phoning you.
Yeah, phone calls are a bit different though. I mean, that was generally harder, but again, we knew each other by that point. I'm talking about is this person giving you reason to think they don't want to have this phone call or this voice, this video chat, and they're making it seem like there's always an excuse. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's due diligence. What do you know about this person that makes you so sure they are who they say they are?
And it's not.
And do you know what? Like nowadays, like Instagram Live, do that.
Yeah.
Because with Instagram Live, you can both be on at once, and people can watch, and people can ask you both questions. And if you don't know any of their friends, why don't you know any of their friends?
I think it's, it's not to take the fun and the excitement, because there is a certain romance and kind of star-crossed lovers feeling that comes along with meeting someone from another country, and whether you meet online or you meet in person somehow. And, there is a certain kind of, I don't know what the word is, but there's something around it that people romanticize it, I guess, a bit. Obviously, people know it's really hard, but, like, I had a friend, I actually met her. If you listen to episode 1, you'll know that I made a friend on my flight the first time I came to meet Rich in England in 2010. And we stayed in touch for a while. She and I did. We had both, basically, the flight went from LA to Calgary to London, and we were on the same leg of both flights. And we both, like, I heard her saying, oh, I'm not really sure what I have to do when I get to Calgary. Like, do I have to go through customs? And I heard her, I was like, oh, like, do you want to buddy up? She's a similar age to me. And, we kept in touch. And one time she actually said to me, oh, like, I want what you have. This was after I think I had moved here and we'd gotten married. It was, I want, that moving for someone, and I want that love story. And I was like, why? Like, I don't regret anything about what's happened with us and where our stories brought us, but it wasn't easy. No. It wasn't easy. It was, there was a lot of worry, and, like, I guess catfishing isn't the word I would use, but as you guys, if you've listened to previous episodes, you'll know that we were meant to meet when we were 20 years old. Rich had valid kind of reservations and concerns at the time about, were we old enough? How were we going to make it work? Is this going to be realistic? So I cancelled my trip. I was devastated. We didn't talk for a while. And then when we started talking again, and we both kind of were at a different point in life where it was a bit more feasible for us to make this relationship a success, I was scared. And I didn't think you were catfishing me, but I was concerned, are you going to chicken out again? That's two different animals.
I think, though, just going back to what you said about, this doesn't have to take the shine off of anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on day one. It's not like, oh, hi, we're just starting to talk. By the way, take this picture. So enjoy that.
Oh.
Give it a month.
There is a mystery about it. It's fun.
But there does need to come a point, and I think it's up to each individual relationship. There comes a point, maybe it's just before you think this could get serious.
Yes.
Just think, okay, look, we need to have a conversation. And don't say it as, I don't trust you. Frame it like, both of us need to be sure we are, what can I do to make you feel confident? And this is what I'd like from you, so I can feel. If they react badly to that, walk away. Like, that's the red flag immediately. And if they say, yep, you're right, cool, let's do FaceTime, I'll take whatever picture you want from me. Whatever. And that's what you've got to do at that point. And then it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I want to emphasise what you said there, though, because I think, if they react badly, then that's a red flag. But, like you said, you need to frame it in the right way, and that is very important, too. Like, I can understand if you say, like, we haven't done this, we haven't done that yet, like, who are you? That can make someone maybe like, oh, what, you don't trust me? But if you say, hey, look, I'm getting to a stage where I'm feeling pretty invested, and before I let myself get more invested in my feelings for you, I just want to make sure that we're both protecting ourselves and that we are who we say we are, and then, you know, use any of those methods that we've mentioned. But
and I would include the phrase, what can I do to make you feel
absolutely.
comfortable?
Yeah,
Let
make
them
it
know
really,
it's a two-way thing.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's going to be a different time for everyone when you get to the point where you think, okay, I need to really make sure this is what it seems to be, and that's 100% true. I think that time is going to be different for everyone, but what the basis of that time should be is, okay, am I really developing serious interest and feelings for these people, and am I passing up other opportunities because, you know, local or easier opportunities to be with someone because I can't stop thinking about this person? If you get to the point where you would rather be in a long distance relationship with someone who you maybe haven't met, or someone who's just far away and it's not as easy as this great person you meet at work or at a bar or whatever, then you know, I'm really into this. And that's when you need, before you get any further than that, you need to do your due diligence.
But I would just add to that, just make sure that, you know, be objective. Take a step back and be objective and just think, is it them or is it the romantic ideal? Is it what I, you know, like you said, you had a friend who thought, I want that romantic, this and that. Just think, is that clouding my judgment or is it the person?
That is another thing that really shocks me, is how many people's judgment is clouded and how naive and gullible people can be. Like,
yeah, but including us, like everyone, like, and especially by anyone who, there are you know, I've recently discovered the world of like pickup artists online. These are people who make their living by apparently understanding how to convince people to sleep with them or whatever. You know,
well, like consult, like Hitch, like they help people.
No. It's them themselves.
How do they make a living out of that?
Oh, they sell courses. You know, so this is how to be a player, basically.
Oh, so they are like basically telling people how to do it. They're not just picking people up to get their
It's
own
both,
life.
yeah.
Okay.
So I've always been kind of, I knew you kind of hear people say, oh, that exists, but thanks to the wonderful world of Twitter showing fucking everything, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's all very consensual, this and the other. But I'm saying, for people who understand the psychology of how to get people to do things and agree with things and go along with things, it's not terribly difficult to lead people down a certain path.
Yeah, and I think.
But in terms of being naive, like what I mean is, it's not just naivety; it's also
it's being played or worked.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, I think.
But what were you going to say about that? You're shocked how naive people are.
Yeah, like you just, you know, gut feelings say a lot, and you know, I think, you know, all at the end of the day, like all we really have are ourselves. Everything and everyone in your life could be taken away from you. You have to, within yourself, you know, make deductions about things and really protect yourself in life. And yeah, I mean, it is shocking, you know, how much people will overlook when they want to think the best of someone. And hey,
yeah.
I'm all for giving people the benefit of the doubt. You know, people have bad days, people have hard lives. But when you're seeing patterns...
Well, you see, this is classic of people who are in, like, abusive relationships.
Exactly. Oh, God, well, I mean, that's so much more complicated.
But it is, but it's making excuses for them. It won't happen again. They were stressed. I did this. You know, You're not responsible for getting a punch in the mouth from your spouse. I'm not going to say, you know, men only. Like, women can do it too.
I wish I punched you more.
Well, I'd punch you right back.
I'm just kidding.
But, yeah, you know, it's not...
It's hard to face the truths, especially when your heart's on the line. If you are really invested in someone, it's easy to think you're protecting your heart or whatever by overlooking these things, but you have to be frank with yourself. I mean, you know, if something is concerning you, you have to address that with a person, or if they won't discuss it, then look into it yourself. I mean, anyone can watch Catfish. You know, they don't hide their methods of how to research this thing. You know, watch a few episodes if you're unfamiliar with it, and also, like, do what they do.
And on the flip side of that, write down the things you actually like about this person, because then you'll get to the bottom of, I like the idea that they're in this different country. Mm-hmm. You know, like you were hoping I'd be a duke with the castle.
Yeah,
you know,
still hoping. When he says duke, that means duke.
Yeah. So, but write it down. Like, I like that he does this, this, and this, or she does this, this, and this, or I like this about their personality. I like their ambition. I like and because that list going to tell you at least two things. One, how well you know them. Do you know things like what they want out of their life, how ambitious they are in their life, what they like about you? It's also going to tell you if you want more than just the idea of a relationship. And that's really... Because if you start out that list and you've got, right, 1, they're foreign, 2, don't know, you don't know them as well as you think you do.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah. And, you know, like we said, it's not to take the shine off of anything, but...
Well, and again, it hasn't got to be day one. It's just
No.
before you start to feel really invested, really serious, just think...
Before you start to put yourself on the line. You know, and another thing...
Because also at some point, just on that, at some point your long-distance relationship is going to come at the expense of your local life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I've said before, you know, just because we live together now and we're married doesn't mean that long-distance relationships aren't a part of my life. My entire world
Yeah,
is
but I also mean
now,
you're going to be turning down dates. You're going to be turning down nights out with your friend. You wouldn't do that if the person who you're talking to online is not what you think is brilliant, you know. So before you start to do that, before you start turning down opportunities and fun experiences, make sure you've got that list. Make sure that you're comfortable that they are who they say they are. Make sure you're confident they're not catfishing you. You haven't got to do it before that, I think. You know, the first 4, 8, 12 weeks, however long it takes you personally, for it just to be someone that you regularly talk to and, this feels quite good, it's quite fun, I quite like them. As you get to that point where that relationship could take more of your time at the expense of other things you could do with people you know, or you know, potential dates and whatnot, and before you start to feel really invested in them, that I think is the point when you need to think, right, I need to take stock of this situation. I've got to do my due diligence. Yeah, that's the point, I think.
Yeah.
So like I said, not day one, not take the shine off it.
It's really exactly what I said. Are you trying to steal my thunder?
No, just repeating it.
Are you not listening?
If it's worth saying once, it's worth saying twice.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you may not have any concerns, and that's okay. You know, you might go
for this.
That's
okay.
Huh?
I don't think that's okay. I think that comes down to naivety. If you've got no concerns...
Well, not... Okay, let me rephrase. The person may not be giving you any reasons to be concerned. You know, they may be, yeah, I'll FaceTime, yeah, I'll talk. Like, they're, you know, maybe they're always available. So, and that's what I mean by, like, they're not doing anything that makes you suspicious. Oh, I don't know, like, they won't show me their face. You know, they may be acting completely normal, but that doesn't mean that, you know, they may be exactly who they say they are, but that doesn't mean that there's not other things that you should find out and maybe look into the compatibility a little bit more and all that kind of stuff and make sure that matches up. And because, yeah, what it comes down to is that if this relationship's going to be a success, it means that one or both of you will be leaving everything you know. You might decide, well, you live in New York, I live in LA, I don't want to be a 4-hour flight from my family, but let's live in Texas so that we're both you know, we're in the middle of the country. You know, some people do that. You might go to New York, they might come to LA, whatever. You know, it's going to be a big change, and, you know, I think people obviously realize that when they get into it, and, you know, you can't move forward with something like that unless you are, like, in it 100%, and by getting yourself into something 100%, you know, you're making yourself really vulnerable, and you almost have to psych yourself up, like, I'm ready for this, and by doing that, you can sometimes overlook things that maybe should be a red flag. But what do you want to talk a bit more about? What you're going to say, like, you think you should have concerns no matter what, or just you should be cautious no matter what?
I don't. No, what I meant was I don't. If you personally don't feel, oh, you know, I feel fine. Like, well, the people getting catfished are the people who feel like that because you're easy picking. So it doesn't mean the person you're talking to is anything wrong with them. They're doing anything wrong. But just because you don't feel concerned doesn't mean you have nothing to be concerned about. And that's a completely off-topic example. Like last night when we watched Free Solo, this guy who climbs mountains with no ropes because there's nothing else you can do in life. Apparently, that's fun. He had that brain scan, and they said the bit of your brain that tells you to be scared of stuff
doesn't work like other people's.
It doesn't get it doesn't get set off as readily. So he's thinking like, okay, I'm not scared of this. you fucking should be scared of climbing a 3,000-foot mountain with no ropes. Like, just because you're not scared of the situation doesn't mean that there's actually nothing to be scared of or concerned about. So, I don't mean all the way through you should be worried and threatened, but just because you feel very confident in the situation, that doesn't make you immune, basically.
No, it doesn't. And just because you're not concerned about being catfished doesn't mean that there aren't other things going on. I think catfishing is fucking with someone online, pretending to be someone you're not. That's what we think. But, this person might be exactly who they say they are, but maybe they're trying to get money out of you. I mean, that's something that would raise a flag for me. If someone, you've been talking to someone for a while and they need some help, and that is something that comes up on Catfish in some episodes. Actually, I send them money. But that's a concern.
Or they say they are who they say they are, but they're not very nice. The people in, I'm going to say quote unquote real life relationships, face-to-face relationships, they're who they say they are, but they may not be very nice. Or
they might be hiding things.
They may be, I was just about to say, people have double lives. Jim, I know people listen to this from all different countries, but a few years ago there was a website called Ashley Madison that had a massive hack. And I don't know if the website itself sort of exists outside the UK, so I'll briefly explain. But Ashley Madison is a website specifically for affairs. So it's for people who are married. So men and women can go on there and say, I'm married, and you're looking for
an affair.
An affair, yeah. For a number of reasons, and I'm not passing any judgment on it. It was quite an interesting sort of news story because there were people saying, there were families who were torn apart by it because their kids. Basically, what happened with this hack was the email addresses of all the people on it were leaked. So people were able to go and see, am I on it? Is my wife on it? Is my husband on it? Is my dad on it? Whatever. And all that stuff happened. So no judgment on the ethics of it, but...
people have secrets.
People have secrets. So these are people who... That's been my parent for 20, 30 years. Oh my God, they're on Ashley Madison and they've got... Then some people aren't having affairs. They've got another wife and a second family. Oh. They are who they say they are.
They might be Bob Miller, and they might, they might be the picture that they show you. But yeah, there's more to that.
Yeah, and so this again isn't to scare anyone away, but coming back to the due diligence, it's not just about, their picture matches the person I'm looking at on webcam or FaceTime. Everything they tell me is true. That just means that they're not lying about their appearance. Yeah,
and I mean, even still, like meeting someone in a normal capacity, through. At the grocery store, at a restaurant, at a bar, whatever. Even then, the face you're looking at, and there's no way to hide that, but they could be lying about loads. It's not just online that people can hide.
Are you their only romantic interest?
Yeah.
For one thing, So, this could very easily become a fear-mongering episode, and there's a lot of positive, and maybe that should be an episode we do soon about the positives, but... just be careful, and I think for me the takeaway is just because you don't personally feel concerned doesn't mean you don't have to take precautions.
Yeah, but I think that's true about unless you meet someone through friends that they can kind of give you references on a person or a longtime family friend or something, you never really know what you're getting into straight away, and it may not be a big scary secret. It may not be that they've got another family that they're messing with you. It could just be maybe they come from a really dysfunctional family and there's tons of drama, and you know what, maybe you don't want to get into a relationship where there's those kind of complications, but you deserve to know that. And when you meet someone online, there are ways to easily filter out the dirty little details, that you'd probably find out if you met someone in a local capacity.
Well, and the other thing, just on that, about weeding out the dirty little details, I think one way to do that, because presumably this is someone you're talking to regularly and over a prolonged period of time, ask them the same questions at different points in time and see if the answers are different.
Yeah.
If you...
what sort do you mean? Just as an example.
I don't know. It really depends what you're trying to find out. If you're trying to find out how many people they've slept with, for example, or if you're trying to find out where you grew up,
or how many brothers and sisters they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything, just details, just save them. that's a very casual conversation. Like, oh yeah, how many brothers and sisters have you got? Oh, I've got 3. And then 2 months later on, it's, oh yeah, I've got 4.
Yeah.
You know, are they being consistent in what they tell you?
Yeah, but basically what it comes down to is don't be paranoid. Don't suspect the worst of everyone. But use your common sense, do your due diligence, and, you know, think, does this make sense, what they're saying to me? You know, am I seeing any strange patterns or just anything that just makes me uncomfortable? You know, trust yourself, trust your instincts, and maybe you're wrong, but it's better to find out and maybe have a hard conversation than it is to never know and have something worse happen off the back of it. So, yeah, that's kind of really...
I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, even in the last 3 episodes saying that, I think we'll wrap it up.
Well, it's my new catchphrase then.
It's not...
Maybe I'll get little action figures and you can pull the string on the back and it will say,
there's a
we'll
snake
wrap
in
it up.
my boot. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions or any, you know, concerns, obviously, you know...
Or if you want to pre-order that toy, let me know.
Anyway. Oh, what happened with the jelly beans?
Well, I've put my guess in.
Okay.
I'm not going to say the number in case anyone else enters.
Okay. But yeah, or if you have any precautions that, you know, that you know, or things that people can do to be safe if they're concerned about being catfished. If you've been catfished, or if you're a recovered catfisher and, you know, have anything to add.
Yeah, we'd love to know why. If you were a catfisher, what was your motivation?
Yeah. Or if you've been through it, you know, what happened. You know, again, we may not be able to solve your problems, but we're always here to talk and just, you know, everything that happens in this long distance community is quite fascinating, really. So you know where to find us. Instagram at Mr. and Mrs. Distance.
Mr. Mrs. There's no and, just in case anyone misheard that.
I just said Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, I know. But just if anyone
Okay.
misheard that. So
Is it
Mr. Mrs. Distance.
It's the same on Twitter, isn't it?
Yep, all one word. Mr. Mrs. Distance. Website is longdistanceToMarriage.com. There's no from. There's no from.
Yeah,
it
it was
it's just
too long.
longdistanceToMarriage.com. Mr. Mrs. Distance on Instagram and Twitter. What else have we got? So you can send us an email. You can send us a message, whatever. And a review. You can leave us a review as well.
You're so good at pitching us, yeah, whatever.
Well, this is off the cuff.
Yeah, it was. We don't do this every time anymore because we don't want to scare people away with being pushy.
But basically, if you like us, let us know. We're quite needy.
Yeah, and actually, we did say, and we'll say again, if you're able to leave us a review on whatever platform you use to listen, we would really appreciate that.
Only if it's good, though. We don't want any bad reviews.
Well, constructive criticism is always good.
Nothing under 3 stars, please.
Yeah, fuck that. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.